Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and I am so excited that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me because today we are talking all things Goodreads Choice Awards 2024. And I'm sorry if you can hear my space heater, but your girl's cold. You see I got on my emotional support sweatshirt. It's cold, okay? So before we get started, why don't you grab a drink, grab a snack? I am drinking a cherry cola poppy, one of my new obsessions, one of the best flavors. So we got a lot to talk about. So just go ahead and get comfy and let's jump into it. I'm not exactly a fan of Goodreads, Amazon, none of it, okay? But I have to acknowledge that Goodreads does play a big part in the book community. And, you know, as with all things, I feel like if we don't talk about them, if we don't discuss them, they kind of slide into a place of complacency, or it just feels like we're okay with how things are, and that's not the case. So I kind of want to talk through some of the nominations, talk about books that I'm excited about that got nominated, and also talk about some books that I wish had gotten nominated and what I think would have helped round out the category to make it more diverse, and not just even in like a racial way, but also other identities, but also in other ways, because I feel like that's just as important. So, yeah, let's talk about it. And then I'm also going to talk about the books that are nominated that I plan to read or that were already on my TBR. But I think I'm going to do a part two where I'm reading some of the nominations. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about that in the comments. And yeah, I have my laptop sitting right here, so I'll probably be looking down a lot. But I do plan on screen recording, so you should be able to see what I am currently seeing. And yeah, we got a lot of yapping to do. So let's just go ahead and get started. I have been talking and forgot to press record. I want to cry. I want to cry. Luckily, I caught it before I got too far, but yeah. So let us run through these first three categories because I don't read a lot in there. So I'll probably just tell you what books look interesting to me. Okay. So for fiction, Dolly Alderton is not a surprise. Colored television was everywhere, so it's nice to see that it is in the Goodreads Choice Awards because it's won a bunch of other awards. Blue Sisters, not surprising. Margot's Got Money Troubles was pretty popular when it came out, and I hope this finds you well. I have been trying to read this book, but my library hold is 1,000 years long. So whenever it does come in, I definitely plan on reading this. And Sally Rooney is no surprise. A lot of these I haven't heard of. I've heard of Sandwich, and I've heard of Tommy Orange as an author. The Wedding People was everywhere. I also plan on picking this one up, but same deal. Library hold 1,000,000 years long. So yes, historical fiction going into that. I probably won't know any of these. I'm not really a historical fiction girly, you know? So yeah, no, no. Mystery and thriller. Let's see. Rachel Hawkins is not a surprise. The Last One at the Wedding, I've seen a lot of people read and enjoy. Ill, Why Is She Here? No Shade, No Tea. Um, let's see. Middle of the Night, not a surprise. How to Solve Your Own Murder is on my November TBR, so that makes it a really good candidate for nominees that I want to read since I was already planning on reading it this month anyway. Uh, yeah, Listen for the Lie was everywhere. The God of the Woods has been everywhere. Richard Osman, yeah, First Lie wins. It looks pretty, expected, especially coming from someone who doesn't read a lot of mystery thrillers. If I can recognize these books, then they have pretty much been everywhere. Moving into romance. Okay, let's see about this romance because I feel like I'm gonna have a lot to say because this is one of the main genres that I read in. Swift and Saddled, not surprised. The rom-comers I read and actually really enjoyed, so I'm okay with it being here. Elsie Silver and a Huang, not surprised to see them. Of course, we're gonna get an Emily Henry every single year. Um, the Pairing by Casey McQuiston. I actually received an e-arc of this that I haven't gotten around to yet. So yeah, that makes it a good candidate as well for me to read in my part two. Actually, I don't remember hearing good things about This Summer Will Be Different, but I'm gonna keep my mouth off that. Slither and Lark, I didn't hear great things about that either. How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwong. I have this book and have not read it, so we'll keep that on the list for possible books for me to read. Always gonna get an Allie Hazelwood. Daydream by Hannah Grace. Yeah, Tia Williams is good to see her. Very good to see her. I haven't read that. It just doesn't sound like something that I would enjoy, but I have heard good things about it from the people who have read it. Christina Lauren, no surprise. The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, no surprise. It was everywhere. That's also on my November TBR, so we might be picking that one. Another Allie Hazelwood. Not her getting too hush. Okay. Kennedy Ryan, This Could Be Us. I am not surprised to see Kennedy Ryan. I feel like Kennedy Ryan and Tia Williams are two of the most popular Black romance authors. And so when we talk about getting an Emily Henry every year, Allie Hazelwood, Christina Lauren, like when those authors publish, you know they're going to be on here. And I feel like Kennedy Ryan and Tia Williams should be included in that as well. I feel like they've earned that at this point. So good for them. Lies and Weddings by Kevin Kwong. This is also on my TBR, well, my library TBR. So I don't know if I will be able to get it in time for this video, but it's on my TBR. So is The Love of My Afterlife. And then we have Just for the Summer, no surprise, and Liz Tomford, a girl you seem to like as well. So no surprise there. I will say is, as always, this category is very predictable, very disappointing because I just think that there is always a lack of representation in this category. I feel like there are, so many books that have come out that have just been overlooked, and I could stand on my soapbox all day, but the fact that there's only one queer book that I know of off top, and I pretty much have heard something about each of these books. So yeah, I think The Pairing is the only queer book. Why? Why? Only one? And then only having Kennedy Ryan and Tia Williams. That's disappointing as well, but you know, I think the theme of this video is going to be disappointing, but not surprising. So the romance category for sure fits that. And going into romantasy, I think it'll be the same way. So Apprentice to the Villain, 5 stars for me this year. Not surprised to see it. The Honey Witch, another 5-star for me. But I honestly feel like it might have fit better in the romance category versus romantasy. But that's not my job. This Fate of the Sun King, I think, is that the same series as Tales of the Trials of the Sun Queen? I think it is. A Crown This Cold and Lovely. This series has been everywhere as well. The Spell Shop is on my TBR, but I thought it was like cozy fantasy. So I feel like it would have fit better in the general fantasy category. Whatever. A Promise of Peridot. I think that's the sequel to A Dawn of Onyx. Didn't really hear great things about that, but yeah. A Dark and Drowning Tide. I have heard pretty decent things about this book. A Touch of Chaos, I have read, and I'm not surprised to see it. I think every book for the past couple of years that I've been following has been included on this list. Of course, Jennifer is going to get her nomination. A Fate Inked in Blood by Daniel L. Jensen. I think we had better options. Moving on, The Veil Kingdom by Holly Renee. I really enjoyed this when I read it as well. So, yeah, good pick. Blood of Hercules, I have not heard of before, but it says sarcastically funny, dark fantasy romance. Look, I love a funny book, so I might have to look into that one and see what I think, because it could be a possibility for the TBR if it's on KU. When the Moon Hatched, definitely not surprised to see this. This book was everywhere. I haven't read it yet, but I do have a physical copy of it because Lex read it and she enjoyed it. But that book is so big, I just don't know if I'm in the mood for it right now. Quicksilver, that book was everywhere, with just a man on the cover, and not surprised to see it. Not surprised to see a Zodiac Academy book. The Games Gods Play actually just finished last week, and I enjoyed it. So not shocked to see it. Definitely not shocked to see Phantasma. I am in the middle of it right now, and I'm having a good time. It was everywhere as well. Of course, SJM is gonna get a nomination. I don't even want to talk about her, so we're just gonna keep moving. And Faithbound, y'all know if you have watched any video on this channel that I shove Faithbound down everybody's throats. If there's a recommendation video, I am finding a way to fit Faithbound into it. It's one of my favorite books of all time, not just this year. And I am super excited to see it nominated. But let's get into this. Faithbound is the only book by a Black author in this list. Let me check on Jasmine Mass. Correct. Sarah L. Arifi is the only Black author in the romantasy category. And that does not sit right with me at all. I don't like that. As someone who primarily reads romantasy, I do not enjoy that at all. Very disappointed in the romantasy category as far as diversity and representation goes. Like, I have read a lot of these books, and a lot of them were good books. Like I mentioned, they're three of my, let's see, there are 3 5-stars in this category for me. So it's not like I'm not enjoying these books, but I just want more representation. And it doesn't even just have to be like, oh, add in all Black authors. There are other races and other identities that aren't getting representation either. And that is the whole point of me making this video and calling them out on it, because if we don't call them out on it, they think we're okay with it. And we're not okay with this. Okay? All right. Fantasy, I'm not expecting to be much better. Leigh Bardugo, no surprise. The Foxwife, Meg Schaefer, Empire of the Damned, I think it's the second book to Empire of the Vampire or something like that. Yeah. Book of Doors. Okay, A Song to Drown Rivers is on my TBR, and it's also on Kindle Unlimited right now, so it's definitely a possibility for me to read, and that's good to see. Blackbird Oracle, I am in the middle of this series right now. I think I'm on book 3. So yeah, The Bright Sword was everywhere. TJ Klune, The Tainted Cup was everywhere. Okay, we got some P. Jelly Clark with The Dead Cattail Assassins. Good to see. 5 Broken Blades. Now, I'm shocked to see this one here, because what I will say about 5 Broken Blades is that a lot of people bought it because it's a Red Tower book, and of course it looked pretty, but I didn't hear the best things about it. I didn't. So it's shocking that it's here. A Sorcerer's Come to Call, T. Kingfisher, of course. Catherine Arden, of course. I've seen Voyage of the Damned in a lot of places. The Night Ends with Fire, I've seen before. When Among Crows, I have seen, but I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. So it's interesting that it is on this list. Map of the Other Lands. Y'all know I love me some Emily Wild, so I'm happy to see this here. A Sweet Sting Salt. I have seen, but I haven't seen a lot of people talk. I've seen, but I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. So that's interesting. And then An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. I thought that was horror. I have only heard this described as horror. Horror. What? I mean, of course, we love the representation, but I really am not sure that's in the right category. And I would love to read that as well. So we're going to make that an option for the TBR. I'm going to look at sci-fi. I only dabble in the category, but there may be something that looks familiar to me or something that I want to pick up. The first row, I have heard of the Stardust Grill before. Adrian Shakovsky. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but he is someone that I've heard of. Of course, James S.A. Corey, and this series by Jeff Vandermeer has been getting like a new resurgence of people reading it because of the new covers, which I do think are pretty cool. Yours for the taking. Okay, so this is another book that I received the e-arc for, right? And I did not read. And I even bought a copy from Aardvark, even though I had the e-arc and I hadn't read it yet. And have I picked up either of those? No. So definitely thinking about adding that to the TBR video for nominees. Anybody I have seen everywhere. I've also seen the blueprint before. I think that's a black author, if I'm not mistaken. The Family Experiment by John Mars. Seen that. The Ministry of Time is on my TBR for sure, but it's on my library TBR, and you know how those holds are. And I've seen Baby X because I think it was an aardvark book as well. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me in sci-fi. Yeah. Yeah. Moving on to horror. I probably won't know any of these either, but we'll give it a look just to see. I have seen A Sunny Place for Shady People, people talking about that. Of course, T. Kingfisher. I Was a Teenage Slasher was everywhere. Stephen Graham Jones has two books. Okay. I didn't hear a lot of people say good things about I can't talk. Murder Road, but I don't know. Incidents Around the House I've seen. Diavola I've seen. Bury Your Gaze I've seen everywhere. My Darling Dreadful Thing. Oh, this is a debut book by a black author, so that's really good to see. This Cursed House. The Eyes Are the Best Part. I knew was going to be on this list because this book has been everywhere. Lex read it and enjoyed it, but I am not a horror girly. Or if I am, it's very light on the horror because I'm very scary and no. And then So Thirsty is actually on my TBR by Rachel Harrison, and that's because from what I've heard, it's light horror, kind of like Cackle. So yeah, that's on my TBR. Debut novel. Let's see what we're talking about. Right off the bat, I don't know any of these. I've seen the Book of Doors, but I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. How to End a Love Story. Greta and Valden I've seen. The Ministry of Time, not surprising. The Truth According to Ember. Okay. I have heard about this romance book. I think it's by an indigenous author. We Used to Live Here. I think it's a horror that I've seen people talk about. Masquerade. This is on my physical TBR. Haven't picked it up yet, but I love to see it. So that can definitely be an option for the TBR. Yeah, yeah. Audiobook. Is that new? I think audiobook is new. Uh, I haven't listened to any of these. I don't even think I've read any of these, if I'm being honest. So, moving on, young adult fantasy. Okay, the Invocations I've seen. I haven't heard anyone talk about that. Holly Black is no surprise. Heartless Hunter, shoot. I think Heartless Hunter may sweep, and I'm scared for whatever else is in this category. I've read Heartless Hunter, and it was really good. That makes me nervous for anything else in this category. Oh my god! Air, I've seen a lot about, but Immortal Dark. I'm in the middle of that right now, and I hate to see Immortal Dark up against Heartless Hunter. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. But of course, ugh, Brandy Sandy, not surprising. All this Twisted Glory. Now, this Woven Kingdom is on my TBR, but I don't plan to hop into that series until next year. Oh, so let them burn by Camilla Cole. That's good to see. And I also own this book and haven't read it yet. So another option for us to read. Where the Dark Stands Still. I've seen everywhere. Dragon Fruits by Micaiah Lucier. I read that and I really enjoyed it. I think it was a great YA fantasy. Where the Library Hides. Isabella Banez. Yep. The Poisons We Drink, also another book that I own that I haven't read yet. Another possible for the TBR. Ruthless Vows, not exciting, but I mean, not surprising, but I haven't heard the best things about Ruthless Vows or Reckless for that matter by Lauren Roberts. And The Darkness Within Us is on my TBR and it's also on KU right now, so another possibility for that. For She Is Wrath, what is that? Ooh, a Pakistani fantasy romance. Retelling of the Count of Monte Cristo? Hmm, that sounds cool. No, just save that. Of Jade and Dragons, I've heard of, I think, or I've seen around at least. So, yeah, not me thinking that the YA fantasy category is better than the adult fantasy category. Wow, this one's going to be this category, I will say, to me, gives what I wish the adult fantasy and the adult romantasy categories would give. There are so many different people represented in this category, and I am here for it. This is how all the categories need to look, in my opinion. You know, dang, that's a really good category. Even though my brain is telling me that Heartless Hunter is gonna take it, but I have hope for my other books that I'm reading for in this category. So we'll see what happens. Young adult fiction, right off the bat, of course, Holly Jackson. I haven't heard. I don't read a lot of YA. I think my YA tends to lead fantasy. Um, and on that end, Where Sleeping Girls Lie. That's on my November TBR as well. This is a mystery book. And yeah, that's definitely a possibility because I was planning on reading it anyway this month. Crane Among Wolves. Anne Liang is the author of A Song to Drown Rivers, so she has 2 noms. That's cool. Icarus by Kay Ancrum. I've heard of that. A Bond Me for Two. That looks really cute, but I'm not really into YA romance. Lynn Painter is always going to be everywhere. Death of a Morning House, yeah, betting on you. Lynn Painter with 2. Most Ardently, okay. Tilly Cole, this book is YA. I've seen this book around everywhere, and I thought it was adult. Didn't know it was YA, but I also didn't do any research into it because scrolling on. Gwen and Art Are Not in Love. I've seen Jennifer Lynn Barnes, no surprise. Heartstopper, no surprise. Yeah, this is a pretty decent category, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Nonfiction, I'm not really going to know any, I don't think. Oh, it's not hysteria. I bought this book because it's a book about reproductive health for women. And as somebody who has a lot of reproductive health issues, to put it lightly, I want to read and understand what's going on with my body. And I don't feel like I get the answers that I want to get when I go to the doctor's office. So I want to do my own research and kind of learn what I can and how I can help myself feel better on a daily basis. So, yeah, this felt like it was a good book. And I've like flipped through it, but I haven't had a chance to like sit and read it because it's hard to read about things that are actually happening to you and that make you, I guess you would say it's kind of triggering in a way. So I just want to wait until I'm in like a good space to receive the information, right? And also, blood sounds interesting as well. It's a book on menstruation. Yeah, fun time. Memoirs, I haven't read any, but it's interesting. I would like to see what's here. I didn't know Hereafter was a memoir. I've seen it around, but I don't know what I thought it was. Would be okay. Grief for People is for people I've seen around. Of course, Kelly Bishop and RuPaul. Drew's here. Let's see. Ina Garden. Okay, girl. Yeah. And then history and biography. I don't think I'm going to know any of these. So, a quick run through. And I don't. Cool. All right. So, that is what I thought of the nominations. And yeah. Okay. So, next, I want to talk about some books that I think were overlooked and that I think would have really rounded out the categories in a better way, in my opinion. And kind of just books that, oops, kick the camera. I'm trying to stretch my legs out because I had them bent that whole time and that wasn't a good idea. But anyway, I want to highlight some books that I think would have really rounded out the categories and would have made them be, a little more inclusive, if you will. So all of these books I own, but that's why I'm looking around because I'm like, I didn't think this through. I should have collected all of the books before I started filming, but because of it, editing Erin, I am sorry. You just gonna have to put the pictures up. That's what we're gonna do. Okay. So in these books that I am picking, I am sticking to the rules for the awards, meaning that the book was published between November 16th, 2003 and November 12th, 2004. And they have a 3.5 average rating or higher. And I know that there's more that goes into it, but those are just the main two rules that I pulled up from looking at eligibility and rules. I know that for sure ratings and shelvings and reviews go into this, but we're not looking at that. We're going to look at the main two rules, and that's what we're going to do. Okay. So, some of these books I have not read, but I've seen people review them and have read through some reviews on Goodreads, and I see good things. And I feel like they could be included in the category. So, yeah, that's just what we're going to go with. Okay. So, for the romantasy category, I would have liked to see Evocation by S.T. Gibson included. Now, this got a lot of mixed reviews, but it was released on May 28th, 2024, and it has a 3.63 rating. So I think it could have been included, and it would have been a great addition to the romantasy category. I think that's where they would have put it, just based off of the types of books that are already in that category. And my second choice is A Wolf Steps in Blood by Tamara Jarre. This book was released on April 16th, 2024, and it has a 3.79 average rating. And this is a novella, but I think it really packs a punch. It really is something that is very similar to the books that are already in the romantasy category. So, yeah, it could have been easily among the number. And then moving into the romance category. Now this one definitely first like okay. So my first addition to the romantic category would have been Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. Why is this book not in this category? Look, Goodreads playing with me. It was released on November 17th, 2023, and it has a 4.20 average rating. Okay, Outdrawn is probably one of the best sapphic romance books that I've read, and I also will continue to shove this down people's throat because they need to read it. Okay, next up would be Truly Madly Deeply by Alexandria Belfleur. And I'm shocked that this book wasn't included because I think her last release, The Fiancé Farce, was. So, and I think even Written in the Stars was nominated. So, yeah. Anyway, this book was released on April 30th, 2024, and has a 3.79 average rating. And this is a really great queer book. It has two bisexual love interests, and it was a fun time. Next up, we have A Little Kissing Between Friends by Chinsia C. Higgins, and this is one of my favorite books of 2024. It was released on May 28th, and it has a 3.72 average rating. This is a great, great, great example of a Black queer romance, and I'm just disappointed that it wasn't included. Moving on, we have Between Friends and Lovers by Charlene Obiobi, and this was released on July 30th, 2024, and it has a 3.95 average rating. I have not heard a person say anything bad about this book, so yeah. Moving on, we have The Kiss Countdown by Etta Easton, and this was released on April 4th, 2024, and it has a 3.83 average rating. And I think this made the rounds. It was even one of like Illumicrate's romance books or whatever. So I feel like a lot of people were exposed to this book. Yeah. Let the Games Begin by Rafaro Faith Mazarura. I apologize for any name that I am mispronouncing in this video. This book was released on July 9th, 2024, and has a 3.74 average rating. And this was like a summary Olympic Games type situation that took place in Greece, I think. And it sounds really cute and really fun. There is The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love by India Holton. This was released on July 23rd, 2024, and has a 3.96 average rating. And I think this book got a lot of circulation as well. It was a book of the month pick, I think, or an add-on or something like that. When I Think of You by Maya Ariel or Ariel. And it was released on April 16th, 2024, and it has a 3.89 average rating. And lastly, for the romance category, we have Love Under Contract by Nina Hai. This was released on March 5th, 2024, and it has a 4.13 average rating. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, we had options. And like I said, I have a lot to say about the romance category because that's the main genre that I read in. And I just feel like just because it's a popular author, every book that they release does not need to be in this category. And I know that the authors themselves don't have anything to do with this, but like, yeah. The last category that I want to add books to, or I think that there were some snubs, was the YA fantasy category. And this first one, hear me out, okay? Because I did say I was following the rules, okay? But this one, it was just so close. I could not add it to this list, okay? And that's This Ravenous Fate by Haley Dennings. I just read this book and I had a great time with it. It was released on August 6th, 2024. And this had a 3.49 average rating. Like, that's basically a 3.5. Like, whatever. I had to add it to this list, okay? And then next we have Blood at the Root by Ladarian Williams. and that was released on May 7th, 2024. And it has a 4.04 average rating. And lastly, we have The Principle of Moments by Esme Jakimi Pearson. This was released on January 18th, 2024, and it has a 3.62 average rating. And those are all of the books that I think. That Poppy is making me a little burpy. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to edit it out, but like, goodness. These are all of the books that I think should have and could have been included in these categories. So, yeah, adding these would have just made it a little more inclusive of other people's, which is what we are always striving for. So I think my point in making this video was to just show that there are ways to be inclusive and there are other books that deserve a chance and that were just as well received but maybe didn't have a traditional publisher pushing it, or not the kind of books that get pushed by a lot of the bigger influencers or whatever the case may be. I think that Goodreads should definitely try to look a little deeper, and it's not just about like the most popular. Like, look at the smaller indie authors, the other category authors, whether that be LGBTQ, whether it be a BIPOC author, like whatever. Just try to include everybody. Everybody wants to see themselves in books, and there are authors who go out of their way to ensure that, but they aren't getting the same hype as some of the other authors who don't really care about that. Okay? And I'm gonna leave it at that because, yeah. And that's what I'll say about that. And I think I am going to do a part 2 to this where I read some of the nominees. I don't know if I will be choosing just between first round or second round nominations. I think I'll include everything because there are just some books that I want to read and that I want to highlight that I am really proud of and happy that got nominations. So it might be a longer video that I include a lot of books in, but yeah, I think I am going to do that. And I'm trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anything that I really wanted to say and put into this video. Yeah, I think that is it. If you have a book that you feel like fit the criteria for the Goodreads Choice Awards and was snubbed, drop them in the comments below. I would love to see what you think because I know I missed some. It's hard to stay up on all the releases that come out during the year and read backlist books as well. So yeah, let me know what you think. I had a pretty good time sitting and talking with y'all. So if you stayed to the end, thanks for listening to me yap off about these things that are important to me. I guess with all that being said, I will catch you in the next video. Have the best day that you possibly can, and I will see you soon. Bye.